Facebook is streaming, via YouTube is streaming, and also via Skype. Each one of you is welcome to this live streaming from our studios in Trinidad. When you are silent, ego is not. When you are not silent, you are talking, inner dialogue is going on, or you want to convince someone about your identity, ego is there. So ego is the disease, the sum total of all diseases. You remember, you are meeting someone. The person did not ask you anything. You have to explain, I am this, I am this, I am that, and all these things this is the way you realize that ego is speaking. It wants to make your presence known. By saying that I am this, I am that, the ego feels that it can convince the other. And usually the people that we are dealing with, they get convinced, oh, he is this great person. But he is not concerned with the presence. A flower is blossomed, its beauty and fragrance is its introduction. The flower does not say that I have blossomed, I am a rose flower, I am a white flower, I am a hybrid quality of flower, I am from this garden, I am President's garden, I am from here. Doesn't say anything. It simply is there as a presence. So silence is a presence. The truth speaks through silent gestures and pronounces aesthetic beauty. Your inner flowering manifests in silent gestures. Hence, the emphasis is in the process of enlightenment, in the process of transformation, the emphasis is on the dissolution of ego. We can call it dissolution of ego or surrender of ego. You are in presence of someone who you think any kind of question you ask, you are given an answer, and the person is as comfortable, as silent as he is, looks as if he knows nothing, but the moment he starts speaking, things begin to overflow out of him. The mind is not functioning. All the responses or answers are coming out of consciousness. So the emphasis is on the surrender of this disease. If in silence, even for a moment, you have the glimpse of the existence, of your existence as egolessness, then you can analyze it, then you can enter the phenomena of ego or what it is. When I am continuing the process of enlightenment through Tao overflows, I will speak of these, how to sublimate ego and what is the process for that. According to Shankar's and other methods, Nanak, Shankar, Jesus, or whatsoever it is. The mind is nothing else but accumulated past, the storehouse of the memory. The mind is never here, it is never now, it is always in the past. An argument erupts between you and your spouse, or between you and your employer, immediately the past surfaces. You did not do this, you did the same thing yesterday. You always do things like that. But all those that is being brought on the surface is not the solution for the current problem that you need to sort out. The current problem is that this is to be done now. But by bringing the past, by bringing that memory, can you solve the problem? The current situation is there is a function going on. For that function, some cleaning, some preparation is to be done. But as a person, you have arrived a little bit late. So instead of focusing, the just simple thing, if I am there, I will simply ask, everything is okay? If everything is okay, you had your breakfast and everything, let us start. And we have to finish this before the time comes in. Instead of saying that, I knew you will not reach in time. You always come late. I cannot rely on you. You are very unreliable. This is the memory. The mind works that way. Consciousness works just everything is okay. You are all right. Everything at home okay. So let us get on to the work and try to see that we can finish it in time. That is what it is needed. This is what, so in that, the person who you are speaking to will feel a kind of a risk. Everything changes. Everything changes. And he is not, his energy is not flowing in that direction. So this you have to understand. Mind is memory, and all the experiences that you have gone through, all the information that you have come across, all the knowledge that you have gathered, heard, listened to, read, that is accumulated. Mind is constantly accumulating. It is a great accumulator. It goes on accumulating. Even while you are not conscious, it accumulates. It goes on accumulating. Even when you are asleep, this process of accumulation continues. You may not be aware of it. While you are asleep and there are noises on the street, the mind is accumulating. You can be hypnotized in the morning and you can be asked about it, and you will say everything, you will relate everything, whatsoever the mind has accumulated in the night during that state of unconsciousness. Even if you have fallen in a state of coma, it remains the same. The mind does not need to be conscious to accumulate. Mind does not need to be conscious to accumulate. Unconsciously, you look at your situation, you will be surprised when a conflict erupts at home. What kind of talks are being brought? Some of these you are surprised. The kind of words, the kind of messages are being brought. They are accumulated during the state of your unconsciousness. Even when you were in the mother's womb, the accumulation was continuing. So the question arises how ego is created. The consciousness is within you, and around the consciousness all these memories are accumulated on the periphery. They are useful. They cannot survive without, you cannot survive without them. They are needed. But then a new thing happens between these two, and that I mentioned is known as epiphenomena. Consciousness is within, you are within, without the I. There is no I within. At the center, if you look at it, there are certain, when a storm or certain things, the water in the pool starts circulating in a whirlwind, or it is called, a particular word is used for that. So on the surface, water is circling at such a tremendous speed that you will remain circling that. But deep down, the way to come out of that is to go below, because this turmoil, this thing that is happening is only on the surface. Below that there is nothing. So you dive, and under the current you are walking, you are swimming through to come out of that state. So at the center there is no disturbance. Periphery, it is there. This is the mind. And whenever you look at the world, you look through the periphery, look through the mind. Whenever you pass through you are inside your bedroom, inside. If you want to look out, you look through the periphery. The windows, the doors are on the periphery, not the center of the room. So in order to look outside, you have to go to the window or to the door that is on the periphery. That is on the circumference. Room has a circumference that you can call it boundary, that encompasses all that is within that room. In order to see outside, you have to look through the window or through the door. So you have to come to this circumference. So you have to pass through the window. You are without a center. On the periphery there is knowledge, experience, memories, and they go on accumulating. This is the mind. And whenever you look at the world outside, you look through the mind. Whenever you pass through a new experience, you look through the memories. You have eaten something new, you are looking into your memory card, that if this taste is there or not. You represent it through you interpret it. Everything we interpret in life is through the memories. You look at everything through the past. So past becomes the guiding principle or generating. Constantly looking through the past, you get identified with it. Every time when you are judging your spouse, you are judging, or your employer or employee, you are judging through the past. That identification is the ego. Let me put it in one way. The identification of the conscious, with the memory of the ego, with the memories, is ego. When you are looking at anything, you have a dish in front of you. You are interpreting this dish in the light of the memory, This is ego. You say, I am a Hindu, I am a Christian, I am a Muslim. What are you doing? You are not born as a Christian, Hindu, or Muslim, but this is the memory. This is the conditioning. That's why Shankar says that's when it is the 6 stanzas known as Nirvana Shatkam or Atma Shatkam or the Sutras of Enlightenment. Nirvana means liberation or salvation. Atma means the taste of the being. So both are the same thing. So everything you look through that memory. So Shankar categorically denies everything. He said, I am neither the mind nor the storehouse of the memory nor the ego sense. Anything. Mano buddhi ahankar chittani naham. Then he continues, I am neither the breath. I have no father, no mother. I am not as soul, the who is the father of you is soul fathered by someone. Your body, your presence is fathered and mothered by someone. Your body came into existence through the interaction of ovum and sperm, but not that which enters the body. That has nothing to do with your parents. You are taught that you are conditioned to think that you are a Christian, Hindu, or a Muslim. This is memory. You have been taught that you are a Christian. This is a memory, and now wherever and whenever you look through this memory, you feel I am a Christian. So your way of life and everything is guided by that. Your consciousness is not Christian, it is simply consciousness. The Ishopanishad says, Ishavasyamidam sarvam yatkincha jagatyam jagat. I am ever expanding consciousness. There are 4 major sentences known as Mahavakya, each coming from one of the Vedas, and they explain that Aham Brahmasmi, Prajanam Brahma, that thou art. Another time I'll explain that. So you are simply consciousness, and consciousness is neither Hindu nor Muslim nor Christian. The room has a space. Is the space within one bedroom different than in the other bedroom, or the space in your bedroom different than in the children's bedroom or in the washroom? Space is the same. Boundaries are created around it. So one space is known as master bedroom, next one is known as children bedroom, the third, and then you decorate the girl's bedroom differently than the boy's bedroom. This is living room. So the space that is within the room, you can call it consciousness. The consciousness, the space is neither bedroom nor kitchen nor living room nor the restroom. How do you design it? So it becomes like you create the boundaries, the egoistic boundaries. So this bedroom says, I am master bedroom. It is of a certain dimension, certain deco, certain way. This one identifies itself as kitchen. This space identifies itself as restroom. So consciousness, and there is no conflict between these things, because but there is a conflict between a Christian and a Hindu. There is no conflict between the restroom and the kitchen. There is no conflict between church and temple. If you want to go, is there conflict between kitchen and the restroom? When you need to go to the restroom and you need to go to kitchen as well. These are essential for the part of living. So in the same way, at simultaneously, one person is going to the restroom, the next one is going to the kitchen, third one is still staying in the bedroom. So it all depends on, you have been taught that you are a Christian. This teaching is accumulated on the periphery, and you look through the glasses, look through the shades that has been put onto your eyes, and the whole world seems to be colored that everything is Christianity. Those glasses stick too much and too deeply on you, and then you are never away from them. Whenever you get identified with memory, as a child, as a child, as a grown up, as an adult, rich, poor, beautiful, educated, not educated, respected, not respected. Ego is identification with mind. Ego is identification with mind. That is why when you are silent, ego is not. Because when you are silent, the mind is not functioning. The memory is not there. The moment you have to work, immediately memory comes in. That is what silence means. When mind is not functioning, that state is known as silence. And meditation is that state when mind is not operating. Mind is put to sleep. And then there is silence. You cannot be the functioning of the mind. You cannot be. The functioning of the mind is the inner noise, the clattering, the constant clattering within you. When this clattering stops, or it is not there, or you have gone beyond it, or you have gone within, moved within, there is silence. And in that silence there is no more ego. But it happens only sometimes, and only for a moment that you are silent. That is why you feel that these situations in which this happens are so lovely, so fulfilling, that you start desiring those situations. You go on a hill while the sun is rising. In the morning, you look at it. Suddenly, there is an upsurge of joy. You are blissful. The beauty descends upon you. What has happened really? Because of this silent morning, the silence of the morning, the silence, the silent rising sun, because sun is rising, there is no noise. Silently it is rising. The flower is blossoming silently and quietly, unaware of everything. The hill, and suddenly your inner clatter has stopped. Just Sit down by a rose plant every morning or by any plant and watch its growing, petals opening. But the petals are opening at such a space that you cannot see. You can look at a video where the petals of the flower are opening, and then if you constantly keep on looking at it, you will start falling into a silence. The phenomena is so great all around. The sun is rising without any noise. The breeze is blowing. The flower is opening. The butterfly is hovering. So there is beauty surrounding everywhere. Such peace and tranquility that you have stopped for a moment. In that stopping, you have realized a non-ego state. For a single moment, of course, suddenly phone rings, that silence is no more. This can happen through many situations. In sex it can happen, in music it can happen, in anything which is so great and you are overwhelmed, overpowered, and your constant chattering is put aside, forced aside for a moment, it will happen. Whenever you are egoless, accidentally or through some effort or practice, you will feel a subtle bliss which you have not left before, which you have not felt before. It can happen, this moment of egolessness can happen accidentally or through certain practice that you are continuing to do. The bliss is not coming from outside. The beauty of the flower, the fragrance of the flower, is it coming from outside? No. It is the intrinsic quality of, that is a function of the blossoming of the flower, that is opening when the bud is there. Its beauty and fragrance is enclosed. The moment its petals begins to open, the beauty and the fragrance starts spreading its wings. It is not coming from outside. The moment you are silent, even for a few moments you sit down silent, then in those moments, accidentally or through some practice, you are playing music. Suddenly, accidentally, you have reached to the point, you have touched by your center. Suddenly there is this state has come in. You are sitting in meditation and then this happens. So bliss, the silence, is not coming from outside. It is not coming from hills. It is not coming from the rising sun. It is not coming from the beautiful flowers, the plants swaying with the breeze. It is not coming from sex act. It is not coming from outside. You think that this state of bliss, this state of fulfillment, this state of overflowing is coming because of the sun rising, because of sex. In the moment of sunrise, something happens to you. In the moments of sex, something happens within you. and as the fragrance of that, bliss overflows. The outside is only creating an opportunity. The sunrise, the, the breeze blowing, the butterflies hovering, is simply creating a situation. All your foreplays, this and that, is creating a situation for something to happen to you. It is an opportunity, but it is coming from deep inside. All the beauty and the fragrance, because from the flower it can come only as beauty and fragrance, and it is coming from within. Now, the flower will not feel the joy, but when as an individual you are blissful, because the inner beauty and fragrance is manifesting in the outer realm. So when the beauty and the fragrance, the blossoming of the inner flower starts to begin its process from within, the joy, the bliss overflows, and that is spread in the outer world. You are in people, if you have experienced that moment, inner flowering, then whosoever you interact with, whether your children, employers, employees, your spouse, anyone, the beauty and the fragrance will manifest in a subtle manner, and everybody, whether they acknowledge it or not, will feel it, and not only feel, something will begin to change in him of which they are not aware why it is changing. And then they will realize that I would like to have the company of this person, because whenever I am in the company of this person, something begins to happen. Kuch hota hai. Something happens. Something happens. So bliss is not coming from outside. It is not coming from the hills. It is not coming from the sunrise, sun, or the rays or the beautiful flowers. It is coming not from the sex act. It is coming from not outside. The outside is only creating an opportunity, a situation, but it is coming from within. So if you repeat the outside situation again and again, it will not come, because you will get immune to it. You will get accustomed to it. It always happens in a moment when you are conscious, but it is not repeating. The existence does not repeat itself in that manner. The same hill, the same morning, again you go there and you will not feel. You will feel something is missing, because for the first time it was so new that it stopped your mind completely. The wonder was so great. The overwhelming was so great, and the miracle was so new. You could not continue with the past clattering. It stopped. Just in awe, in a moment of awe, it stops. But next time you go there, you know everything. There is no awe. There is no overwhelming, no mystery. And In the absence of the mystery, the mind continues. This happens with every experience. When you get so used to it, then in any experience, if you feel a joy, it will be destroyed if you repeat it or trying to repeat, but mind wants to repeat it again. It is in a repeated experience, you cannot put aside the mind, because you are identified with this accumulated mind. Whenever you say, I am this, I am not that, you are creating ego. Thirdly, you have to understand this. Then the third point is not difficult. And that third point is that mind has to be used as a jumping board. There is no need to get identified. When you are going to dive in a swimming pool, you use a jumping board. From there you take a jump, flip over in the air, and then you fall into the swimming pool. This jumping board is only necessary for you to take a dive, to jump from there. And the moment you jump, and its role is over, and then your purpose is to jump in taking certain acrobatic movements in the air, and then fall into the swimming pool water. For that you need the jumping board. So mind is the jumping board. There is no need to get identified. Identified does not mean you do not take care of it. You use it as an instrument, just as you are using the exercise mat, you are using the jumping board, and it is an instrument. There is no need to get identified with it. Remain always above it. Is the exercising mat important, or the one who exercises on it? Is the jumping board important, or the diver who uses the jumping board? Is mind important, or the one who uses the mind? And really you are always above, because you are here, now, always present. Mind is always past. So consciousness is the master. It is here now, this very moment. Mind is yonder, somewhere else. You are always ahead of it. It is just lagging behind you. It is a shadow. This very moment is new thing. Your mind cannot have it. A moment later, it will be absorbed, it will become part of the memory. Then the mind can have it. When the experience, you are typing something on the desktop, it is consciousness, it is fresh, it is now here. The moment you save it, it becomes part of the memory. And we save it. So we like to save everything consciously or unconsciously. Even on your laptop or computer, certain things get saved on there automatically. A moment later it is absorbed in the memory, then the mind cannot have it. Every single moment you are free. That is why Buddha has emphasized the moment so much. He says, remain in the moment and there will be no mind. When you are now here, the mind will not be, but the mind is, this moment is very atomic, it is very subtle. You can miss it very easily. The mind is always past, it is a process, whatsoever you have known, and really that is passing just now is not part of the mind. It will become part of the mind a moment later. Once it happened, next moment it will become part of the mind. But this very moment it is not part of your mind. If you can be aware of the reality here now, you will remain always transcendental to the mind. And if you can remain transcendental to the mind, always, ever, never entangled with it, using it, never getting involved with it or identify with it, using it as an instrument, never getting identified with it, the ego will disappear. You will be egoless. And when you are egoless, nothing else has to be done. Then all else happens to you naturally and spontaneously. That is what happened to Buddha. When he was desiring all around, when he was trying to cross the Niranjana river, thought came to his mind, he did all that and nothing happened. He saw every star disappearing in the sky in the silence of that night. He saw the stars disappearing. With that, mind disappeared. Desires vanished. He was relaxed, he came out. So effort is needed in the beginning. Then whatsoever happens, it happens in a state of effortlessness. You will be egoless. And when you are egoless, nothing else is to be done. Then all else happens on its own. You have become vulnerable. You have become open. You will experience this. You can experience this. That is why sex is the easiest way, given an opportunity given to human being to experience this state. Through the effort, nothing happens. When effort comes to an end, then suddenly something happens. Then the whole existence happens to you. Then all the ecstasies are yours. Then suffering is impossible. Suffering comes through the ego. It is the fragrance of ego. Bliss comes through the egoless gate. Now, we will try to enter into techniques of it, because these techniques are concerned with the state of egolessness. Very simple techniques, but you have to understand the background, what is the firstly needed. So preparation, the foreplay is more important, the foreknowledge, the fore-explanation is more important than the actual process. So enough for now. We'll continue in tomorrow's session. Until then, take care.